Good evening. Welcome to NTA's News Talk Table, where we put a third eye on stories about Nigeria and Nigerians. For the next hour and a half, you will get first-hand information on unfolding events from different parts of the country, treated with the extra touch of fine detail. In the bulletin, a healthy collaboration to boost the health sector. Vice President Shettima shakes hands with Gavi Alliance on healthcare financing. Senate passes medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, while House of Representatives is to investigate revenue leakages. Former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele granted bail by FCT High Court. We have our regular packages on environment, innovation, community support, youth development, business and sports. So let's do this together. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Elizabeth Omori, and this is News Extra. We begin with health. The federal government has restated its commitment to strengthen the healthcare system financing and accountability, especially in vaccine provision and immunization programs. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this during a high-level strategic meeting on Gavi Alliance support to the Nigerian government at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila tells us more.
Significant increase from 33 to 57% of vaccination coverage in Nigeria since 2016 is part of the Gavi's Alliance contribution. Vice President Kashim Shettima acknowledged this critical contribution to Nigeria's polio eradication efforts, highlighting the last reported case in 2016, even as he emphasized the government's dedication to sustainable domestic financing for immunization programs and its exploration of innovative financing mechanisms. Soliciting Gavi's continued support, Vice President Shettima outlined Nigeria's plan for post-pandemic recovery and integration of immunization services within broader health strategies.
Very high-level delegation visiting to understand where we are heading and to recommit themselves to work with us to improve access by Nigerians to basic healthcare services, with immunization at the forefront of that. That will save our children from dying due to preventable causes, enhance the future of our country by having capable young people that are healthier to drive the economy to achieve the prosperity that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has laid out in the vision that he has for this country.
The interim chief executive officer of Gavi Alliance, Mr. David Malo, while explaining the board's visit to Nigeria, commended the Tinubu administration for its strong commitment to primary health care and immunization. He said the government's commitment to re-establishing the Presidential Task Force on Routine Immunization and the increase in healthcare funding, among others, was also commendable.
I immediately also started with, just last month, by launching the HPV vaccine, and that is a vaccine for the cancer for young women. And in this short period of time, we have reached more than 4.5 million young women in Nigeria. And that is tremendous, because the overall goal that we have globally is 20% represented by Nigeria. But more importantly, we are also now working together with the Minister of Health to make sure we understand the path forward when it comes to our accountability framework. It is very important that we make sure that there is collaboration at the federal, state level, but also then at the local government area.
He assured the federal government and other stakeholders in the health sector of Gavi's commitment to aligning with the vision of the new leadership of the country in advancing the cause of primary health care and immunization. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Still talking health. Do your health caregivers seek your consent before carrying out any medical procedure on you? Do you know that it's your right to fully understand and agree to whatever medical procedure you get subjected to before it commences? In this special report, health correspondent Uche Oguchukwu examines the state of patient consent in Nigeria's healthcare services and the gaps to bridge.
Most of the time, I choose not to talk, let them just do their work and all. But when anyone I'm not comfortable with, I will just tell them they can make options for me.
So I've never been given options for treatment. Either they discuss within themselves, then give you drugs and let you go.
Very few Nigerians are aware of the right to know, accept or refuse the kind of treatments given by doctors. This has come with devastating consequences. Ethical and legal requirements for medical treatment mandates healthcare givers to properly educate patients before embarking on any procedure.
For it to be really consent, there are other things that come in. The person must be of sound mind with that consent. The patient must understand what you are about to do.
It is your right as a patient.
The case of Fatima Zarau and her 7-year-old son, trending on social media due to alleged misconduct of a doctor, is one of the many cases in the country.
Now, while I was in labor with Ismail, my doctor came into my room and asked me if I was feeling any form of pain. And I confirmed and affirmed that yes, I was in a lot of pain. Obviously, I am in labor. Labor is supposed to be painful. And this doctor reached out into his pocket, brought out an already prepared medication in a syringe. And he opened up my cannula and he injected. Now, immediately after injecting, I fell asleep. I remember while sedated, I was shouting out my sister's name because I was feeling the urge to push out the baby. And she couldn't hear me, obviously, because I was sleeping. But in my mind, I was trying, sorry, boo-boo, in my mind, I was trying as much as I could to talk to her. Now, what saved me was she noticed I was moving a lot. There was a lot because I was in a lot of distress. She went out and she called out the nurse, and the nurse came in, and already the baby's head was crowning. And she ran out, that's the nurse, and she called the doctor, and he said, no, he's timing. It's not time yet. And she said she has already seen that the baby is crowning. Meanwhile, my water has not even broken. Now, when he came out, he wasn't breathing. There wasn't any form of life. He was not crying.
This act has caused her 7-year-old son, Ismail Umar, permanent brain damage.
He has had 2 surgeries so far. One was for undescended testes, and the other one was a stem cell that we had to do to improve the quality of life.
Where a patient is treated without his consent, he has a right to sue. Now, he can seek redress for assault, he can seek redress for battery. That's the elementary law of thought. You touched me without my permission.
Agreed, there are exceptions to the rule for informed patient consent, especially in cases of incapacitation and emergencies. Medical caregivers are expected to properly inform patients about their condition and treatment options in clear terms and get their permission before treatment to avoid lifelong trauma suffered by likes of Fatima and her son.
I am
Uche Oguchukwu, NTA News.
Thank you, Che, for the education. Away from health matters, the House of Representatives Committee on Finance says it will carry out status inquiry on National Lottery Trust Fund following what it calls unsatisfactory explanations on revenue generation and expenditure of the fund. National Assembly correspondent Isa Mohammed reports.
Chairman House Committee on Finance says the committee was not satisfied with the documents and explanations provided by the National Lottery Trust Fund in respect to sources of its revenue generation, budget performances between 2021 and 2023, as well as remittances. The chairman notes that all agencies fully funded by the appropriation should remit 100% of their revenue as provided by the Constitution.
We are guided by the Act establishing the agency. If you look at Section 40 of the Act, establishing the agency, we are required to take a custody of a certain percentage.
Which Act? What's the
National
section?
Lottery Act.
Give me a copy. It's clear in the Constitution. So when you are fully funded, you are expected to remit your IGR 100%. 100%.
Other agencies that appear before the committee include Federal Road Safety Corps and Lagos International Trade Fair. From the National Assembly, Isa Muhammad, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says positive developments in the oil and gas sector will be sustained to further improve performance of the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, as the company aims for a net profit of more than 4 trillion naira. This came to the fore when the group managing director, Milik Kyari, met with the leadership of the Senate. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The creation of the National Assembly through the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. The NNPCL is the largest single asset oil company in the whole of Africa, with over 1,900 pipe-borne kilometers of gas connected to the downstream. The committee is principally interested in the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, surveillance security contracts of pipeline contracts, issues bordering on vandalism, and required mechanism to salvage the situation, amongst other salient matters in the sector.
We also want to ask some of the surfacing queues in the filling stations that has just emerged. We also want to have to know the consumption of PMS in the past 24 months. That is national consumption of PMS.
The group CEO of NNPCL, Melekari, explained that the company currently has a design of existing over 5,000 kilometers pipelines network across the country, which are not functioning due to sustained vandalism being experienced in the past 15 years.
Before the regulation that is substantially changing the total landscape of our business is that we are doing up to 67 million liters of PMS. Today, the average that we have since the regulation is about 45 million liters of daily evaporation, not even consumption. And this is substantial. This is almost 33% reduction in the volumes that we take into the market.
4 refineries in 3 locations with combined capacity of 445,000 barrels per day, according to him, will be augmented as rehabilitation works are ongoing on the existing refineries. From the National Assembly, Joshua Okochide, NTA News.
All right, that was our correspondent talking about their visit to the Senate. Now, it is renewed hope for the Ministry of Information and National Orientation as the 10th National Assembly pledges to support reforms that will fast-track the proposed rebirth of national values and reorientation among Nigerians. This was during an interface between the Ministry of Information and National Orientation and the Senate Committee on Information. Sali Obwanara reports.
It is an interactive session that transforms to an engagement that showcases both the legislative and the executive sharing similar vision on how to transform the information flow system. It was a consensus that information is power and crucial, as the committee commended the ministry's agenda to transform its agencies by reviewing some of its policies for effective service delivery in line with the expectations of Nigerians.
There is already an effort ongoing in amending some of the agencies' legislation. So we want to ask the Senate Committee to please look at those legislations once again. Some of them are quite outdated. We need your support, distinguished chairman and other distinguished senators, to increase the funding to the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation and its agencies. It is important to note that the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation is a key ministry, and how it is funded and how it is operated goes a long way in making Nigerians informed about the activities of government. This will in turn create the necessary buy-in that we all require, that will also lead to the robust and meaningful engagement that all of us require, so that we can have a country in line with the President's renewed hope agenda that is developed, that is united, and that is also prosperous.
Digital switchover project, the minister assured, tops the agenda of his programs, including the launch of a national citizenship campaign.
Very soon, you also get to hear our rollout on the DSO. DSO is absolutely important. It has to happen. There is no reason why DSO the digital switchover will not happen in Nigeria. At this age and time of digitization, we cannot afford to be left behind and go analog. There's just no way. It has to happen.
Members of the Senate Committee on Information pledged to be strategic partners with increased oversight and mutual cooperation.
If we take the advantage of this ministry and get it to work, it's going to help us in the area of insecurity that has cut across the nation. Through your NOAA, National Orientation Agency.
The interactive forum also featured heads of some agencies under the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. From the National Assembly, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
In the report of the meeting between the Senate President and the Group Managing Director of NNPC Limited on oil and gas is now presented by our National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali.
Series of interactions with ministries, departments and agencies of government on revenue and expenditure. The Senate Joint Committee that conducted the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper hearing submitted its recommendations. Senate, after consideration, approved the projected parameters on daily crude oil production, exchange rates, price of crude, the GDP, as well as the projected amounts for budget, revenue and deficit for 2024. The committee wants governments to scrutinize the policy on granting waivers and urge government agencies to put a stop to endorsing agreements that are liabilities, especially those subject to international arbitration.
A significant number of the federal government's revenue-generating agencies engage in arbitrary, frivolous, and extra-budgetary expenditure.
In the area of waivers, in 2024 alone, they have provided for 2.7 trillion waivers.
A lot of issues have been raised here that we will continue to work on, even after this passage. We should really commend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the initiative so far. And so there's a lot of hope for Nigerians.
Plenary featured the second reading of the bill seeking the establishment of Federal College of Geological and Cement Studies in Ogun State, sponsored by Senator Solomon Olamileko.
We are talking about our mineral resources that's being exploited in that area, not only that area. We are talking about establishing an institution that will provide the human resources to drive these enterprises.
The motion from Senator Ned Nwoko calling for enhanced security in the Federal Capital Territory to prevent kidnapping was adopted.
A recent abduction of 19 individuals, including my senior legislative aide, Barrister Chris Agidi, in the Galadima neighborhood, Abuja, exemplifies the gravity of the situation.
Something very, very drastic and immediate must be done by the security agencies to handle this matter.
As far back as 2009, when I was Minister of ACT, the contract for the installation of CCTV camera was awarded.
Meanwhile, a delegation from the Primary Healthcare Development Agency and the Gavi Alliance has met with the National Assembly Joint Committee on Health towards sustainable immunization financing in Nigeria.
For us, immunization is key because we all know that prevention is far cheaper than treatment and cure. And we really want to get back to the time when we used to have a universal child immunization coverage. That is 80%. That's what we're looking at.
Really looking at how the funding for primary health care and vaccine is where it sits in the budget items to make sure it's a bit more guaranteed and the money can reach our partners that help buy the vaccines more promptly.
Both sides agreed that accountability should be ensured to further expand operations for more coverage, especially of the vulnerable. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Public accounts to investigate non-remittance of revenues generated through the remitter platform, which has led to substantial revenue leakages in government coffers. Following a motion jointly sponsored by Representatives Jeremiah Umaru and Jafaru Gambo, the House notes that the rate of revenue shortfall is worrisome despite the introduction of the remitter system. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikpen brings us the details from Wednesday's plenary.
Because Remitter is a digital
Since 2015, Remitter, a financial service platform, was adopted to serve as a gateway for the Treasury single account of the federal government to block revenue leakages. The Green Chamber is, however, worried about non-compliance with the standard operating procedures leading to revenue shortfalls.
1% of the fund collected is charged as commission for making use of the platform and share among system specs, deposit money banks, and Central Bank of Nigeria in the ratio of 50, 40, and 10, respectively. This is alarming and unacceptable.
Need to recover decades of unpaid 10% freight levies due to the Nigerian Export Promotion Council from the Nigerian Maritime Authority, NIMASA.
After a debate among lawmakers, a bill for an act to establish the Institute of Debt Recovery Practitioners of Nigeria passed second reading.
By putting in place adequate mechanism to monitor the conduct and the professionalism of debt collectors and to provide a culture of good governance within the profession.
There are enabling laws, there are existing laws that have to do with debt recovery.
The need to construct pedestrian bridges along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway was among several infrastructure resolutions.
Pedestrian bridges have been neglected by stakeholders, and the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway has become a death trap.
The need to control flooding along Galma Dam in Kubau local government area of Kaduna State.
Meanwhile, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas has inaugurated a special committee to investigate crude oil theft with a view to bringing those complicit to justice.
By effectively addressing this challenge, we can enhance revenue, investment, and overall socio-economic progress for Nigeria.
We will begin to roll back the evil effects of the criminal enterprise of oil theft and pipeline vandalization.
At its inaugural sitting, the House Committee on National Planning says it will pursue intergovernmental budget reforms for economic development.
To create ambiguous indicators that will be adjudged one of the best in this 10th Assembly.
From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
You're still watching News Extra on NTA. Time to take a breather. More reports ahead. Thanks for staying with us. We often hear that once an honorable, always an honorable. Now you understand why, after 30 years of its unceremonious dissolution, members of the Third Republic House of Representatives have remained resolute and committed to nation building. At the commemoration of its 30th anniversary, the forum discussed critical role parliamentarians must play even after leaving office. Ignatius Nkwo reports.
This is exactly 30 years after the military junta of General Sani Abacha sacked the Third Republic National Assembly. 3 decades after, these members are still active, committed in the Nigerian project.
We had 3 seats at the conference, national conference. The Committee on Claims has worked and is working around the clock for the realization of our entitlements.
So there is the need of such financial assistance to each and every one of us to bear one thing or the other.
I will go straight to the floor of the Senate, the 10th Senate, to move a motion that the executive should be, as a matter of national priority and urgency, all the entitlements of our colleagues.
This forum has continued to make impact in spite of its misfortune, describing itself as the crop of elected representatives in Nigeria's political history with adequate reflection of the people's mandate.
We were the set that was most voted for.
Is that democracy must be democracy. The process of electing people must be democratic.
and the process of removing them must be democratic.
The 30 years anniversary provided another opportunity for reflection and renewed sense of purpose for these Nigerians.
Let us continue to work together, transcendently differences.
The three arms of government are critical, but they must also be complementary.
Out of the 593 members of the forum, 247 have died. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Talking politics, the governing All Progressives Congress reacts to a contrary copy of the appeal court's judgment of 17th November 2023 of panel of 3-member justices that upheld the verdict of Kano Governorship Tribunal Court in favor of APC candidates in the March 18 election. Nasiru Yusuf Gauna describing it as false and mischievous. Political correspondent Abubakar Kwanga reports that this was during a media briefing against the circulation of a controversial copy of the judgment in some news outlets.
Just before the euphoria of excitement over Kano Governorship Appeal Court judgment fades away, a strange dimension to the judgment emerges, putting Kano State Governor Kabir Abba on the platform of the NNPP on the side of victory. This, the National Legal Advisor says, it is baseless and cannot upturn the certified true copy of the appeal court judgment.
As far as we are concerned, we view it as a mere typographic error on the part of the court when it was typed. The justices are under intense pressure. This is a 72-page judgment that would have been prepared after going through probably 10,000 page submissions from different lawyers, the different sides, from the appellant side to the respondent side, the brief of arguments, the records of proceedings. These justices were expected to go through it within 1 month. Within 1 month, and deliver a judgment. It is possible that the court may have discovered its mistake by now and taken necessary measures to correct it.
The All Progressives Congress says it is not interfering with the court procedures, but will ensure it obtains appropriate copy of the judgment from the court and advised its members nationwide to be calm as nothing will temper with the appellate court ruling. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, says it is disturbed by the alleged contradiction discovered in the judgment of the Court of Appeal which sacked the governor of Kano State, Abba Kabir Yusuf. Addressing a press conference in Abuja, National Working Committee of the party appeals to the National Judicial Council and other related bodies to investigate the alleged contradiction. David Irie reports.
It was Friday, 17th of November 2023, when the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja sacked Abba Kabir Yusuf as governor of Kano State. The court held in the judgment that the governor was not yet a member of the NNPP at the time he contested and was elected governor on the platform of the party. Having secured the certified true copy of the judgment to file appeal at the Supreme Court, the party said it discovered that the judgment signed by the court was in favor of the party and the governor. On page 67 of the judgment, the court upheld the victory of the governor and awarded cost of 1 million naira against the APC in favor of the governor. This certified true copy contradicts the one read in the court which nullified the election. Hence, the party is calling for investigation.
For emphasis, this is not just a mistake that can merely be corrected by the Court of Appeal, as it does not fall within the ambit of the slip rule, where a court can recall the document and correct an error. Such errors must be so obvious that their correction cannot generate any controversy regarding the judgment or decision of the court. By the same token, such errors must be of such nature that their correction will not change the substance of the judgment or alter the clear intention of the court.
The party is also presenting the membership register, insisting that the governor was duly registered in his ward on the 27th of March 2022. In Abuja, David Irie, NTA News.
In another development, the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory sitting in Maitama has granted the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, bail. Judiciary correspondent Olabode Arewa reports that he was granted bail to the tune of 300 million naira and 2 sureties, saying the bail is to enable him prepare properly for his trial.
The former Central Bank governor was granted bail by Justice Adeniyi of another FCTI court on November 8, but he was rearrested and remanded on the orders of the FCTI court Maitama, presided over by Justice Hamza Muazu. Emefiele, one Saadat Ramalan Yaro, and a certain company named April 1616 Investment Company Limited had been facing 20 counts of alleged corrupt enrichment to the tune of 6.5 billion naira. But Emefiele was rearranged on an amended 6-count charge of 1.6 billion naira. Presumed innocent until proven guilty, his lawyers prayed for his bail pending conclusion of trial. But the prosecution, in opposing the bail bid, argued that the defendant's arrest is a national security matter, thus it will not be expedient to grant him bail. The court, in exercising its discretion, said it could not see the national security implication in granting Emefiele bail and ordered him to produce 2 sureties who will deposit C of O to their landed properties located in Maitama with the courts.
The charges before the court are bailable, and other reasons were given to the courts. Decided to exercise its discretion by granting him bail. That was what happened.
My lord equally said that the defendant should deposit all his traveling documents. The court made an order that the defendant must not travel outside the jurisdiction of the court. And as I said earlier on, that what is paramount to us is the defendant presenting himself to stand trial.
Meanwhile, his substantive trial is slated to resume on November 28 in Abuja. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Now, to other events within the FCT, the internally generated revenue profile of the Federal Capital Territory Administration in the last 3 months has improved by more than 100 billion naira saved by the present leadership. The FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, disclosed this during an interface with developers and members of estates associations over payment of certificate of occupancy in Abuja. Onozo Yakubu tells us more.
Read over the rate at which fake certificates of occupancy were being issued in the past in the FCT, citing himself as a victim while a governor of Rivers State. The minister says his administration has pegged 5 million naira as processing fee for obtaining C of O, which can be paid by installment within 4 months. He reiterates that it will no longer be business as usual.
When I was governor of Rivers State, we had 3 CFOs from FCT. It turned out that all are fake. The CFO was gotten from FCT as a government, not as an individual. 3 property allocated or said to be allocated. When I now sent the liaison officer, the people from the FCT took him to the land. Later we discovered that it was fake CFO. Now all those things will be things of the past.
Ground rent, CFO rent, all the rents, we appreciate your thoughts. But we want to appeal that you look into the amounts. If you don't get this money, you cannot develop the city.
The take-home message from this meeting is that henceforth, no developer will be allowed to pay for CFO for property owners, but the homeowners will do the payments. This is to avoid fraudulent activities. No tenant in rented apartment can apply for CFO, while the new CFO is to be linked to individual national identification number. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
In line with its pledge to stimulate the economy through strategic recapitalization of the informal sector, the federal government has flagged off the targeted expansion of the market money scheme. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, who performed the flag-off says democratization of resources is key towards promoting financial inclusion. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports that 1.5 million Nigerians are expected to benefit from the scheme.
This ceremony signals the beginning of market money, another phase of empowerment by the federal government under the Government Enterprise Empowerment Scheme, GEEP. Rejigged for better delivery, the scheme, also known as Targeted Expansion of Market Money, takes its roots from trader money established in May 2016. Under the program, beneficiaries drawn from 109 markets across the senatorial districts in Nigeria will get a non-interest, no collateral loan of 50,000 naira each for the purpose of business recapitalization. While flagging off the scheme, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu says small and medium-scale enterprises form the bedrock of national economy, and the current move by the federal government through the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry is an acknowledgement of its transformative impact.
Such financial support enhances the overall sustainability of micro, small and medium enterprises. Small businesses often face cash flow challenges, and the absence of exorbitant interest rates ensures that entrepreneurs can invest profit back into their businesses, fostering growth and resilience.
To realize the intended goals of the scheme, she says beneficiaries must play their own part.
You should plan wisely, exercise financial discipline in managing the funds, invest strategically, be committed to repay agreements.
Minister, Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, who notes that the president is in a hurry to get more Nigerians out of poverty, says market money comes with opportunity for many honest and hardworking Nigerians to get out of the poverty bracket.
They will be registered in the market, BVN created in the market, their accounts opened in the market, their cards given to them in the market. We don't want them leaving the market and their small stores to go to another location.
Even as they take delivery of their checks, ownership of the scheme, which is translated in 3 major Nigerian languages, is key. Taking 50 million Nigerians out of poverty in the next 42 months is the mandate of the President for the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. With the formal launch of the targeted expansion of the market money, it is sure that the ministry is well on its way, while for beneficiaries, they now have a new beacon of hope. From the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa, Abuja, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
And from the flag off of the market money scheme, we now move to another market where our busy businessman, Benny Adams, has been trading lately, and he has some reports for us. Benny?
Thank you, Elizabeth. And more on market matters, stakeholders in the cocoa value chain are strategizing to increase production and improve exports of the commodity by ensuring the implementation of a 10-year master plan, of which they are putting finishing touches to. The federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture, are driving the process.
To grow the production, increase the production from the present 300 something to at least 750 within the space of 10 years.
To achieve a target of 740,000 metric tons in 2032. The synergy needed to drive the cocoa sector at this moment is paramount.
The import area command is not for import. If they have goods and you want to export it, just go there. Within 48 hours, you are good to go.
It is foreseen that cocoa industry will give the necessary foreign exchange to our economy. What we want is action.
And oil prices slipped slightly on Wednesday in quiet pre-U.S. Thanksgiving holiday trading as the market awaited news on output cuts from the OPEC Plus producers group and looked for confirmation of a sharp build-up in U.S. crude stockpiles. Brent crude futures fell $1.04 to $81.41 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were down $1 to $76.80. Both benchmarks have fallen for 4 straight weeks, and prices weakened further last week on growing concerns about the demand outlook. And a quick look at the markets. For the second day in a row, Nigerian equities closed flat as the market marginally declined by 0.09% to close at 71,003.98 basis points. A total of 428.4 million shares in 6,677 deals, corresponding to a market value of 7.373 billion, were traded. Today's data shows 13% decline in volume, 129% improvement in turnover, and 2% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization is 39.1 trillion naira. Veritas Capital Assurance recorded the highest volume of 62.1 million traded shares, followed by Unity Bank at 38.7 million and Guarantee Trust Holding 33.9 million. That is business news. News Extra continues with Elizabeth. Elizabeth, it's actually nice doing business with you.
Nice doing business with you, Benny, always. Technology combined with highly skilled personnel, the backbone of the Zenith Bank. No doubt the bank has been in the forefront of technology innovation in the banking industry. And as part of its contributions to the sector, the bank is currently staging 2023 Tech Fair in Lagos, the third in the series. Bolaji Akim reports.
The migration from analog to digital and the world turning into a global village, the need to embrace technology and digital innovation has become inevitable. Looking into the future and how technology can be used to shape business environment, Zenith Bank, one of the leading commercial banks in Nigeria, brings captains of industry, technology experts, students, and leading IT companies together to beam searchlight on advantages of emerging technology in human activities.
The ambition of developing artificial
Speakers at the Zenith Bank Tech Fair 3.0, including the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Olatubosun Tijani, took time to x-ray the dynamism in digital technology with the introduction of artificial intelligence in finding solutions to human challenges and making communication and business transactions easier.
I think it's one clear way through which we can drive the diversification that we want to see in our economy, but also raise the level of productivity as well. Our world has been through a lot in the last 3 to 4 years, so economies are struggling. But one sure way to come out of that is to prioritize the use of technology. And platforms like this demonstrate the role of the private sector in mainstreaming the thinking around technology application and how we can use it as a nation. That's why it's extremely important.
To the organizer, taking technology innovation seriously in the country will not only lead to increase and efficient service delivery, but also boost human capacity.
Technology has come and is rendering incumbent and old primordial platform irrelevant. It's driving old platform, accelerating them to their useful lives. So it's only important for us to adopt and follow it, because this is the trend that is unleashing a lot of power, a lot of creativity, a lot of innovation, and helping businesses to grow.
The event also featured display of technology-driven gadgets by various IT companies that are taking part in the tech fair. In Lagos, Bolaji Akim, NTA News.
Potential, they say, is like a dream which requires concerted efforts and determination to actualize. This particular dictum is what the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, is putting before Chief Executive Officers of maritime agencies as he seeks visible results beyond prospects. Now, as a starting point to hit the ground running, the Minister gave assurance of the re-establishment of a national shipping line. Michael Olale brings us details.
Just like the vast ocean shows endless possibilities, so are the limitless potentials in the blue economy. Statistics from the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, put untapped opportunities in Nigeria's blue economy to be around $296 billion.
Desirous to take advantage of this enormous wealth, the federal government is targeting larger percentage from the $10 billion which Nigerian businesses spend annually to hire vessels from foreign shipping companies.
The establishment of a national shipping line through a strategic PPP arrangement to enable our local businesses to better leverage the Capital Act, which gives exclusive rights to Nigeria to locally control everything that relates to seaborne trade.
Beyond this noble idea is the mandate given to heads of agencies in the ministry to come up with implementable strategies for achieving goals in line with the performance bond signed with President Bola Tinubu.
Mr. President wants to see tangible results and has shared responsibility to serve the people. The maritime sector stands as a reservoir of immense potential, not only for economic growth, but also for diversifying our revenue source and generating abundant employment opportunities for Nigerians.
Improving port infrastructure, establishing Coast Guard, developing local capacity for shipbuilding, while reviving the steel industry are some of the recommendations for harnessing the gains in the industry.
Improve port efficiency. If we do that, it boosts the economy, bring in more business, create more employment.
Shipping management and administration, registrations, they are very, very critical.
There is no magic about the evaluation process put in place by the federal government, as the efficiency of heads of maritime agencies will be subjected to key performance index. In Lagos, Michael Lale, NTA News.
Containing Noma disease in the country is one that has kept both patients and caregivers on their toes, seeking solutions to the tropical disease that affects mostly the poor in rural communities. With the inauguration of a center at the National Hospital Abuja, stakeholders are optimistic that containing the scourge is now in sight. Now, Kenneth Nani reports, and he says that some of the visuals may be disturbing, as viewers' discretion is advised.
Noma is a severe oral dentistry disease that affects the mouth, nose, lips, and face of sufferers, especially children between the ages of 2 and 6. Poor hygiene, lack of immunization, malnutrition, poor access to healthcare, and poverty generally have been identified as major reasons for the prevalence of Noma disease in Nigeria. Some of the stakeholders who described the disease as preventable and curable call for more commitment to its eradication, as the disease affects the emotional and physical well-being of affected individuals.
Almost 9 out of every 10 child dying from this disease. For the few who survive, they have severe disfigurement, and in some cases they face discrimination and stigmatization.
Let us remember that each life we save, each child we restore to health, is a testament to our collective efforts.
Noma having been enlisted as a tropical neglected disease by the World Health Organization, efforts are being intensified by the Federal Ministry of Health and its partners to contain the scourge.
Nigerian Dental Association advocates for implementation of the National Oral Health Policy. And this policy will entail even taking oral health and integrating oral health to the primary health care center.
The need to find out the root cause of this disease, or rather, infection, is very vital. And the ministry promotes and will promote programs and new discoveries that will lead to control this bacterial infection. Thank you.
To promote adequate public awareness and sensitization, the Ministry of Health is partnering the National Orientation Agency.
We are the soldiers in the grassroots for mobilization. NTA is also tackling the issue of stigmatization of persons who have suffered from this disease. We also interface with traditional healers so that they get the right information and know that this disease is not witchcraft, neither is it hereditary.
The establishment of this center is made possible through donations from individuals and of course the contributions from the Nigerian government, and now stakeholders are calling for proper utilization of the center as it's going to serve as a treatment, cure and research center for Noma disease. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Indeed, all hands must be on deck to end the scourge. Now, apart from improving technical know-how to create quality contents that are impactful to humanity, the Nigerian Television Authority is also ready to leverage relevant platforms to improve management skills of staff. Director General of NTA, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, posited the importance when management of the Nigerian Institute of Management came calling for partnership with Africa's largest television. Joseph Otsen reports that the DG also played host to the Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society.
Like minds in the field of management interface, the Nigerian Institute of Management, a professional body for development of skills and upholding management standards, is seeking partnership with NTA in its bid to engage captains of industries to brainstorm on management efficiency.
Head of agencies together to interact and discuss Nigerian matter. Whatever topic any organization is bringing must be a Nigerian matter.
And of course also advance because of piece of business in the country. Perhaps when the time comes, the invitation should be extended to us.
And the warm engagement continues. A familiar group and partner in promoting peaceful coexistence and humanitarian services. The Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society. The activities of the Islamic organization has gained attention of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, which has signed a one-year memorandum of understanding with it to raise funds for refugees and internally displaced persons in Nigeria.
They want us to raise about 350 million in the next 1 year for them, for the IDPs and refugees in Nigeria. But that they want us to lead and get to any other place, every Nigerian that we could lay our hands on, to be a part of the program.
In fact, what they are doing, it is in tandem with the essence of the establishment of the Nigerian Television Authority. And not only in trying to feed the needy, not only to also educate the Ummah. Very, very exciting too to see Muslims and Christians sit on the same program and discussing issues that are common to the two religions.
Whether it is capacity building or promotion of peace and unity, the Director General of NTA, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, says the organization will remain a reliable shoulder to lean on. In Abuja, Joseph Otsen, NTA News.
And the largest TV network in Africa, the NTA, is set to partner the United Nations Food System Transportation to enhance efficiency and ensure food security in Nigeria. Thomas Obete reports that the partnership in the area of advocacy will address challenges such as post-harvest losses, promote sustainable practices, and create a more resilient food system in Nigeria.
This team of stakeholders, led by the national convener of the Food System Transportation Pathways in Nigeria, Sanju Faniro, is visiting the management of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, to strengthen the nation's food security and address challenges within the food supply chain. This is in line with the renewed agenda of the current administration. The purpose of the visit is to forge partnership in Nigerian food system geared towards including government bodies, private enterprises, and local communities to pool resources and expertise together to address systemic issues in food system transportation.
We have done consultation with all the states of federation. They had their input in the implementation arrangement, such that by the time we start implementing that strategy, each and every one of them are already familiar with it, and it will now support the food security that is being driven by the Federal Ministry of Agric.
The Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, who was represented by the Executive Director of Finance, Abdullahi Ismaila Ahmed, described the collaboration as apt, adding that there is need to encourage mechanized farming, provide fertilizer to subsistence farmers, as well as fight every form of insecurity to improve food production and create a conducive environment for the entire value chain.
Like the security challenge we are having in Nigeria, what aspect are you doing? We have to improve it so that actually farmers can go to the farm. If not, how can we do that? Also, the availability of fertilizer, the pesticide, all these things we need to have. The farmers need to have it. How are you going to achieve? How are you going to help the farmers to achieve this thing?
States, local government, and the private sector are also urged to play their parts in ensuring affordable food production for sustainable food security in Nigeria. In Abuja, Thomas Ogbetere, NTA News.
And from food security, we now move to energy regulation. The Rural Electrification Agency, a pioneer in transforming Nigeria's energy landscape, has launched a groundbreaking energy management system control center that is revolutionizing the way energy is monitored and regulated. This state-of-the-art facility promises a relentless pursuit of sustainable energy, making Nigeria a global model for innovative renewable energy solutions. Ibrahim Dan Hamidu reports.
This control center leverages advanced technologies such as satellite and telecommunication systems to optimize the distribution of electricity and respond quickly to any issues that may arise. The Nigerian government's masterstroke was a team collaboration with the Republic of Korea to improve electricity access in Nigeria's rural areas and ensure they are not left behind in the country's development and growth through renewable energy.
In Nigeria, the Ministry of Power and Rural Electrification Agency are also key stakeholders in this project, together with Korean companies, Iljin Electronics.
The Rural Electrification Agency's teamwork with South Korea underlines Nigeria's commitment to technological advancement in the energy sector and future partnerships with the Republic of Korea.
This particular mini-grid project will now make it possible for people to access electricity, and the integrated management system is mainly to monitor those projects that are installed for data, to have a data to drive the electrification process through mini-grid using renewable energy, and also for market intelligence.
And as you rightly mentioned, this works with the GPS technology, where if any mini-grid we have within our database, we are uploading it onto the system, and we are working closely with the technical services department and the M&E department to make sure that every project we have deployed that is a mini-grid is being monitored in real time.
With an abundant supply of sunlight, Nigeria possesses the perfect conditions to harness solar energy and overcome its energy crisis, while simultaneously leading the way towards a sustainable country in the continent. In Abuja, Ibrahim Hamidu, NTA News.
In other news, President Bola Tinubu commiserates with the people and government of Niger State over a ghastly auto crash which led to the loss of many lives in Magama local government area of the state. In a statement, President Tinubu condoles with the families of those who lost their lives in the accident and prays for the repose of the souls of the deceased. The president describes the incident as a harrowing tragedy and directs the agents responsible for emergency response to immediately move in and ensure that those injured in the tragic accident get the necessary treatment at the highest quality and with alacrity. President Tinubu implores citizens to be vigilant and safety conscious as they travel during this festive season and always. It's time to take another break. More to come. Visit her in Abuja. Francis Form reports.
This visit is not strange if you know that Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Soli is visiting the Minister of State, Police Affairs, who is the representative of Nasarawa State in the Federal Executive Council. The minister informed her governor that the president has entrusted them with a critical ministry with the responsibility to facilitate reforms that will engender effective policing in the country. Similarly, the Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Gaidam, also appreciated the governor for visiting the ministry and assured of the readiness of the ministry to collaborate and give necessary support on issues relating to security and policing, adding that they are working with stakeholders to come up with effective police reforms.
get a better police than before. We made the police at our time, I think, needing a lot of reforms. So we ensure that the reforms are made, and we will leave the police when we are leaving the ministry better than what we have on the ground before.
Governor Sule commended the Minister of State for Police Affairs for being a good ambassador of the state in the present administration, noting that they were in the saddle at the peak of security challenges, hence the need for reforms.
I was at the last NEC meeting with you, and I remember we addressed the press together, and I had most of the issues and the plans that you have for the police reform. So, and I strongly believe with your experience, with your combined determination, and with the vision of Mr. President, we'll be able to achieve that reform by the grace of God.
The governor also thanked the leadership of the force for citing police training institutions in the state, which has reduced crime on the highways, and revealed that his state has adopted community policing to complement the efforts of the federal government. Francis from NTA News.
To another issue of concern, effective from 2024 Batch A service year, it will no longer be business as usual for fraudulent foreign core institutions, as collection of master list of graduates will now be extended to schools in Niger Republic, Cameroon, Ghana and Uganda, which constitute about 20% of graduates from the African continent. Director General of the NYSC, Brigadier General Yushal Ahmed, who stated this during the third meeting of management with registrars of foreign core producing institutions in Abuja, said since the introduction of the master list for all graduates from neighboring countries of Benin and Togo in 2022, more than 40% of the people who turned up for the verification exercise couldn't find their names on the list. Olayin Kaujo reports.
So the challenges have been that our students are bad because of one thing or the other.
For some time now, the National Youth Service Corps has been faced with the challenges of mobilization of unqualified Nigerian graduates by some foreign corps producing institutions in Africa through issues around diplomatic bottlenecks, menace of fake degree certificates, sale of degree and commercialization of travel documents, abuse of provision of the ECOWAS protocol on free movements, and poor quality of paper used in printing degree certificates and transcripts. With all of these challenges faced by the scheme, it will no longer be business as usual, as it is time to review the level of implementation of resolutions reached at the 2021 meeting with registrars of foreign core producing institutions.
Those whose names are missing on the master list of the school will be considered as fake graduates. Similarly, with effect from the 2024 Batch A service year, inclusion of names of people who graduated years ago will no longer be accepted in new submissions.
For the registrars of the foreign institutions, it is a welcome development.
Well, we're looking for a way out for this kind of thing, and I think we're really getting there.
The theme of the meeting is tackling the emerging challenges in mobilization of foreign-trained Nigerian graduates for effective national service. Olayin Kaujo, NTA News.
Experience, they say, is the best teacher, especially when young minds are groomed to nurture their ambitions in diverse fields. This best describes the experience of students of Capital Science Academy, FCT Abuja, who were on an excursion to the headquarters of the Nigerian Television Authority, the largest television network in Africa. Ruth Aguele reports.
The largest TV in Africa.
It was a memorable day for students of Capital Science Academy, FCT Abuja, who were privileged to explore and have first-hand experience on news gathering and dissemination of information around the Nigerian Television Authority premises. This visit presented an avenue for the students to learn about the highly equipped studios, the aesthetics around studio production, and how the news is cooked, from conceptualizing news ideas to the presentation.
Camera, though this one we call it jack, we use it, but it's also an ENG camera, electronically
news gathering.
It was a mind-blowing moment for the students who could not resist asking those bugging questions, even as they ponder on the widest reach of NTA.
Confusing reading and also listening.
That's a very smart question. This one will help you with communication with the director. He's a news director. The students stopped by at the Savicom department to understand how much efforts NTA puts in to receive feedback for better service delivery without compromise in standards.
And it was a great learning opportunity that not many schools have, so it's exposure.
After what I've heard and seen, I now understand the concept. They wait to make sure the information is legit. They don't want to go around spreading false news.
It's a really good place for sharing news, and it's a worldwide, it's for everybody. Yes, I would like to build a career here in NTA.
But I know for sure that they have the best newscasters who speak the English with the right phonological rules applied.
The head of the school appreciated the Director General, Salihu Abdulhamid Dambas, and his management team for the opportunity to be part of this experience.
And the reception we receive here, I am not surprised, because this is NTA, and you pride yourself as you can't beat the rich.
These students are going back equipped with the requisite knowledge of a bit of television production as they nurture their future ambitions. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
Thank you, Ruth, for being an awesome tour guide. We'll now take some messages. We'll be right back. Glad to know you're still there. Director General of NTA Salihu Abdulhamid Dambas has been described as an icon of Greater Africa in nation building following his exceptional leadership qualities. Chairperson Zero Tolerance for Social Immoralities Initiative, Ambassador Razak Jeje, disclosed this while on an advocacy visit and presentation of Certificate of Credence to the DG NTA. Deborah Balagbobu has more.
Tolerance for Social Immorality Initiative Africa, a Pan-African organization with a mission to promote a new generation ideology that aligns with the framework of the 21st century, says their visit was to acknowledge the unwavering passion and commitment to community development and explore potential areas of partnership.
Our mission is to cultivate a sense of hope, self-confidence, imagination, creativity, and pride in African heritage among our youth. We strive to nurture discipline, focus, and law-abiding individuals who possess an entrepreneurial spirit.
Commending the ZC ambassadors for their various initiatives in nurturing disciplined, focused, and law-abiding individuals of the society, the Director General promised to work with them to combat various social vices.
If the two organizations collaborate in some of these laudable programs, I think so much will be able to be achieved. So I want to assure you on behalf of the management and of course the staff of the authority that having gone the CV and all the activities that you have so far embarked upon, I think we are going to give you all the necessary support that you require.
Highlight of the visit was the presentation of Certificate of Credence and an emblem of excellence to the Director General of NTA. Deborah Balagubo, NTA News.
It's time to pay our last set of bills. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying. The death has been announced of Ezine Eunice Ada Anyoke of Agulu, Ubiliago in Umana, Iziago local government area of Enugu State. She was aged 79. Burial activities by Sir Chibuike Anyoke on behalf of the family indicates that there will be a vigil mass at her hometown on Thursday, 23rd of November at 5 p.m., followed by other funeral rites, including a funeral service at St. Peter's Catholic Church at 11 a.m. This will be followed by interment and entertainment of guests at the State Primary School field, Eziago. Funeral activities continue on Saturday and climax on Sunday, 26th of November, with a Thanksgiving Mass at St. Peter's Catholic Church, Obiliago, Umana. And that ends News Extra today. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Elizabeth Omori.